Hello, everybody. My name is Chelsea, and I am glad that everybody joined us here today. I tried to stream yesterday, but something happened with my end, technical difficulties. So we're going to try it again today. Um, I have some topics that I have in mind, and I've also invited some people from other platforms. If they have any questions, all questions are obviously welcome as long as they're respectful. There's no such thing as a silly question. Certainly not a dumb question, as long as it's a respectful question. I welcome all sorts of things because there are different things that even like I would have never known about the spirit realm and spirit keeping and having connections with spirits in our own lives, whether they're formally bonded or binded to us from a coven or which or not. Um, these things apply for even people that just have spirits in their own lives, in their own homes. They're curious that they want to have a connection with the spirits that could potentially be around them, even if they're not sure if they're there yet. Um, and those that have had experiences and wanted answers or understanding of what exactly um, they were witnessing when you've had different experiences. I've had all sorts of experiences throughout my life, good and bad. When I was a kid, predominantly negative, only because I was young and I didn't really understand what exactly I was like dealing with. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know why they were visiting me. They would come mainly in the middle of the night. um and they would scare the hell out of me because they were so pushy, and it made it so I was scared to death to even like sleep alone until I was about like 13 years old. And even after that, I struggled. Like I had insomnia a lot as a teenager and young adult and things because those experiences did something where it caused so much panic and fear that I felt vulnerable when I was sleeping, and it made me not want to sleep. And a lot of the time I didn't really understand like what was going on or why they were being so aggressive, and I thought they were like attacking me or they didn't like me, when in reality, now that I understand spirits a little bit more, I understand that 95% of the time they're just people just like you or I. And if you put yourself in their shoes, how frustrating that would be to wander around in this in between state of existence where nobody, a lot of people can't see you, and the ones that can automatically run away in fear so that you're never able to be helped or heard or whatever you need. And so after a while they start to get frustrated because they need to talk to somebody, and they finally find someone that can hear the frequencies that they're on, and then the person ends up being afraid because they're like a little kid. And so that would be frustrating. And after a while, you would start to get aggressive because that would be the only interaction that you would get. Any positive thing that you would do would still be perceived as negative. So they start to get spiteful. The more desperate they become. So most of the time, even back then, I never really truly had an experience with a truly evil entity, more so than one or two specific examples in my life that was like the closest to real evil that actually like it was palpable. When I was a kid, there was one that used to harass me. It wasn't human, and it would pull its face like up in between the crack of the wall in my bed, and its face was like deformed, like burnt, and it had like a really like scary face, like mouth. It looked like the Cheshire cat, like with its smile. And my grandmother didn't really know what to do about it for a while. When I was a kid, she wasn't sure what exactly, like, was I nuts? Like, even was I nuts? And till one night she slept in the room with me because they got me a bunk bed trying to like ease my fear. And we slept on the bottom bunk that night, and she was on the inside and I was on the outside facing her. She was facing out towards out of the bed. And I woke up because she was like, I don't know how to explain it, like shivering, like shaking. It's like she was trying with all of her strength to move, but she couldn't. And she was like trying to scream, but it was like not even coming out as a whisper. Probably like the closest to like what sleep paralysis would feel like to a person. And the look on her face when my eyes adjusted was like horror. And that's when I started hearing the noise that it used to make. It would like chatter its jaws together, and the chattering of its teeth would make this really, really scary noise. And I heard that. And so I looked behind me, and it was dangling from the over the top of the top bunk down, like right at directly in her face, like looking out into the bottom bunk. And she actually had a small stroke that night. She had to be rushed to the emergency to the hospital. It was bad. She never talked about that particular event ever again, but she never doubted me ever again either. And that's when it was like pretty much an understanding that like I am seeing things that maybe the adults weren't seeing as clearly at that time. And she did a good job trying to find ways to help me feel accepted, and how to protect me. Um, my grandma was a good lady, and um, it's funny because I look at death differently, even for like the people that I care about, though. And that's how like I know that like once you experience it for yourself, it's really not a gift that can be taken back, and it's not a gift that you can get anywhere else, because you start to see everything differently in like a better way. When she first passed away, I was sad for myself because now I was here on this crappy plane without her, and it was like a selfish sadness, but I was excited for her because like I knew where she was going. I knew that she's going to finally be where she deserves to be, and it's going to be wonderful for her, because she was truly, I mean, everybody says their loved ones were a good soul, but she was so good it was almost to a fault, unfortunately. And that makes me mad, but I know that she is in the beautiful place where I go to find other people's loved ones to channel for them. And it's so happy and warm there. um there's not really any words to describe how it's like just a big garden, and every day is the perfect weather for a picnic. um and it's the best place you can even imagine. And even like when they say like on a religious aspect, you shouldn't communicate with spirits because it's a sin. It says in the Bible it's a sin. First of all, that's not true. um I don't like to get into religion very often, but I will say, I didn't know it did that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. um I got sidetracked like a mother right now. What was I talking? Oh, what was I talking about? Religion. You, they don't want people. They didn't want people at the beginning of that religion to speak to spirits or speak to somebody that can speak to spirits or help other people access the part of their brain that's able to do that, because we all have it. We're all born with it. I'm not any more special than. I don't like mediums that like act like only I'm the divine, because that's super cringy. Nobody like that energy is exhausting anyway. But also, it's not true, like at all. But nobody. That's an ego thing. And if you hear any of them say that, be wary. You know what I'm saying? Just be very wary. Like, obviously, don't go jumping into things for your own safety. Obviously, it's better if you have some experience, but it's absolutely not true that like only certain people can do it. It's just a matter of accessing it. Some people just never lose access of it. Some people do, and you just have to open it back up again. But everybody can do it. Um, and the beginning of the extreme aspects of religion, the ones that were burning witches and stuff, they didn't just hate those women, they were afraid of them. They were afraid of them because they could tell secrets that would put their money tree out from its roots. And they knew that because if they hated them, they just would have exiled them. They would have just excommunicated them and had nothing to do with them. But they spent so much manpower and energy and time and resources scouting these people out. They were fearful of them. And that's because they were able to tell them things that are not true. Um, it's not about speaking to spirits that's a sin. It's what you do with anything that makes it, like if you're a good soul or a bad soul. And if you use things for good, you're not going to be punished for that. I know that I wouldn't want to know a creator that would create us with something in our mind and then punish for using it. Um, Obviously, if you mess with dark spirits and you look like for dark reasons for it, then yeah, I mean, eventually that will tarnish your soul. But if you use it to help people and yourself, and for the most part, or to protect others, even if sometimes you have to do not so good things, as long as it's in the name of the better good of others and protection of others, then it's not gonna matter. The things that decide if a person gets condemned to the void or not is something that is known immediately. It's at the bottom of a person's soul. Are they good or are they evil? Is there any chance that they would cause more harm than growth if they were sent back for another incarnation to creation? And that's what, like, really the void is. It's not a punishment, it's a garbage can, because the creator doesn't want to punish its own creation. That would be like a science, that would be like an engineer building an artificial intelligence and then like it shorting out so the engineer spanks it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. They would just throw away the broken gears and wires so they didn't tarnish more of the project that needed to be tarnished, you know? Um, and so it's not going to, the fact that you interact with spirits is not going to make the decision if you get sent somewhere or if you get, thrown away. Um, Most do not go to the abyss. You'd have to be like Ted Bundy, the ones that it would be a danger if they came back here. Most get sent back to Earth to wander until like a new vessel is available to be reborn. That's the difference between like an old soul and a new soul. When you meet a person, some people are just like emotionally and spiritually juvenile. Those are the ones where they're probably newer souls. The ones that seem like they've lived along many, many lifetimes, they most likely have. And it's not a separation of religion and creation and spirits. They're all one in one. It's all entwined. It's exactly the way it's supposed to go. Uh, there's a difference between spirits and ghosts. Ghosts is a person that rips themselves from the flow of how the universe works, and they don't go to the light to get judgment doled on them, and they stay here because they're scared, and they never get separate. Oh man, they never get separated from their earthly suffering. I don't know how the hell this thing works. Thing. There it goes. God, hey, like, cool. Okay. Anyways, um, I can't even like move a little bit. I feel like that this is almost playing with me at this point. Like, there's no way that triggered it, but that didn't. Got to slouch down to there. Yeah, I'm really not into like technology for the most part. Irritates me. This is not my cup of tea. That's why, like, it makes me laugh when people have said like your videos are edited. Their videos are edited. Like if I could edit my videos, if I could edit my videos, first of all, I wouldn't be using licensed filters like the dog tongue on Snapchat, which is worth billions. So I would lose my pants, my pantalones, you know, I wouldn't be pandering with that. First of all, and if I was editing, I would edit a nicer background in. um and I would be doing it for like money, like special effects, or I wouldn't be doing it for free videos that I make no incentive off of, like at all. Um, it's kind of a silly premise for anyone to even suggest, and I honestly offered literally anyone on my social media. So you see this? Like what the frick? On my social media, $1,000 if they can make one video that looks anything like any of my videos, any of them, filter or not, because I have like thousands on my social media. And if they can make one using any form of manipulation, I'm not saying nobody else can speak to spirits and have communication that way, because I want people to have that. And I've actually helped people have it that way. People have gotten my work done and then they send me videos of them interacting with the spirits in their own lives. And it's so cute because they even emulate like my hand gestures, like my hand motions, the sign language that we've taught each other. Just because they don't know what it means, but they're just copying it because it works, you know, in my videos. And they send me those videos and I love them. So I know that people can speak to spirits like I am doing. That's the whole point of this. But what I'm saying is manipulation. If anyone could do it with a form of manipulation that they can prove is manipulation, using any platform, any tactic, whatever the hell they want, all they have to do is post it on my profile. That they like run their mouths all the time. I don't even know what that is, but what was that? That wasn't even the ball that was on anything. I don't even know where that ball came from. Hold on. I don't even know where this ball came from. Miss Lacey. Oh my god. Oh my god. I gotta get a shout out to my girl. Ah! I wasn't even anywhere near that. I gotta give a shout out to my so dramatic. To my girlfriend Crystal. I just got a little noise and it was my lady, Miss Lacey. But I didn't hear that there was like a little like chirp that went off in the PayPal, and I appreciate you, Crystal. That was very sweet of you. Some people are so sweet, and you know what? Like, it probably sounds like I'm hateful lately because I'm very angry about the whole like food stamps credit thing. Like that, the whole thing is ridiculous. But just like certain people's reactions to it have made me like furious. And like, if people knew more about my personal stuff, and they would understand why that would be absolutely asinine the way that people are responding around me. But I I have hope that there's still good people out there, and like that there's not like it's not just all takers in the world, because of like the few people that like I've come across doing this and reaching out and trying to find other spiritual people, because I'm tired of feeling alone in it, you know. I want other people to have it too. But like getting to meet some of the nicest people out there that I would never have gotten to meet through like them coming to me originally for a channeling, which I think is how we originally met, her and I. And she gave me like a really wonderful review and stuff, and we kept being friends throughout the years. And I really appreciate the people that don't make me feel like a human magic 8 ball toy. You remember those cheap little plastic toys that you just shake it and it just spits out whatever you want? And like I feel like I get treated like that a lot. And that's the one downside of coming out and trying to help people spiritually with stuff like that, because some people will take it for everything it's worth, and they make me angry and resentful, and it makes me hostile and not want to do it. But then there are good people, you know, there are good people like I mean, I feel like this is just like, um, I just appreciate the kind people, and I'm really grateful for it because there's not a lot of kindness left. Um, and I don't want people to go without stuff. Like I'm not. It bums me out that the country has this much control. It scares me that I didn't realize 40 million people are reliant on the government for food, and that's how communism, that's how dictatorships start. Like it's scaring me. I don't. I got turned away for everything when I got hurt. I mean, literally everything. Everything. They would turn me away for the smallest things because they said I own things and I don't have any kids. So pay, thousands of dollars a year in taxes though, for some reason, for those people's kids. But I don't even know how they can say that to people. That's very insensitive. I didn't have any kids because I was trying to be responsible. I didn't want to have kids when I got hurt in my end of my 20s, when I was just starting to get into a more comfortable spot in life, and I had no idea it was ever going to happen in my future again because there's no surgery that can fix what's wrong. There's too many permanent nerve damage for it to even be worth attempting. They don't like they get upset about that. They get upset about that. They've always had my back though. My spirit family, I'm telling you, like it doesn't matter what's happening or what I'm going through at the time. All I have to do is just like spend some time with them, or like just, I don't know, even just like sit back and observe them, and it makes so many things so much better. Although I don't think everybody really is like compatible with having spirits bound to them because it's like a permanent thing. You have to like, and you can't try to take, like if they think someone's trying to take advantage of them, or yeah, you don't want that. It's you have to be very careful. So I would suggest like spirit bindings for just anybody, if I'm being honest, unless you're very, very serious and committed. Um, I started getting spirits bound to me when I felt like the three spirits that were here were starting to become more and more angry and resentful because it was just us for the first few years. And I went through a lot of bad stuff during that time, and it was making them very like hostile and protective. And I didn't really, how does this is so dumb. And I really didn't want to make that tarnish who they were because they were so innocent and small and young and sweet. So I started contacting old connections, that I've met along the way. And I started getting really close to the leader of a really amazing coven. They're incredible. And that's how I started getting all the spirits that I have. Now I have quite a few. You don't even want to know. I have a lot of um a lot of them I take in to help though. So it's not like I just like have a bunch of them like lingering around for no real reason. Like they all have like purpose here, you know. I there's some that scare me to let the public have access to it. So I like to work with them first to make sure that they're going to behave because there's not a lot of evil spirits, like at all. Most spirits are not evil, but there are some, and the evil ones, yeah, it's not even it's not even worth risking. People don't even realize the amount of turmoil that having a negative attachment can create for a person. I mean, they can do anything that they want to. Um, they're capable of more than a human as far as physically harming. I don't. Some people say they're not. They are definitely able to. They usually don't because they have their own. agendas, their own goals. Like they can't tarnish what they're doing, or else they might not move forward. But if they don't have any hope of moving forward, anyways, bad things can happen. They do happen. So you have to be careful. Uh, and it has to be an honorable source because they're messing with your soul energy, which is a very real thing. Um, and you don't want to be just binding anything to it. You got to make sure that you know who you're dealing with. Even to have a spirit vessel come into your house, if you don't know where it's coming from, once you have a negative attachment, it's very hard to get rid of it. Sometimes impossible. Sometimes they make bad things happen that are irreversible. Um, so I never like to scare anyone because it's very, very rare. But my tip to somebody is not to go looking, not to go meddling. You know, there's a difference between interacting with the spirits that are already a part of your life, because if they wanted to cause harm to you, trust me, they don't need your permission. They would have, you would have known by now. So whatever's like around you in your immediate vicinity, it it's just like it's either your family, your spirit guides, or spirits of the land or property that you are currently on. Um, but it's when you go out and you look and you invite anything, that's when, you know, not great things can happen. I have some I've experienced some really strange things. I had a friend that she was really into like paranormal, like searching, like they would go out with cameras and recorders and stuff, and they liked me to go because spirits are very attracted to me. They kind of pull towards me like a lamp to bugs in the night, and that that guarantees that there's going to be activity in the search, like if I go. But I stopped going because they were very disrespectful. I hello, I um, but they also said hi. I don't know if you could hear that from here, but it did. It cracked all the way back here. Um, I forgot I was saying. Oh yeah, so they would try to have me come with them to a lot of different places, and I stopped going because it got disrespectful, and we had like some strange occurrences happen in the past when I was younger as well. So I didn't go with them anymore, but they went to one place that was very well known in this area to be extremely haunted. It's been on like the Travel Channel and stuff as being one of the most haunted places in America. No one lives there anymore, but it's really well known. And that night they went there and I forgot what they did. They tried to do like they rented the place like a tour in the nighttime for a few hours or something, but they did a seance basically to invite um whatever wanted to come back home with them back home. And I told them they were crazy, like from the beginning. I wanted no part of it. Well, it was ironic because not 24 hours later, one of the twins, there was two twins, and they were very healthy. They were athletic. They never really seemed to have any health issues at all. The one passed away in her sleep, and to this day, like they never figured out what exactly she passed away from. They sent her vials of blood away um for a year after she had passed away, trying to figure out, because all of her vital organs were fine, everything was fine, there was no reason for her to have just died in her sleep. They don't really know why. And it always made me feel like it had something to do with going to that place and basically doing like a summoning ritual to have whatever wanted to follow them home. And that was weird. Like I never that's the last time I ever went to like any kind of location with anybody where they were looking for spirits, because it's dangerous when you do it that way. There's spirits all around us all the time, but you don't really want to find out all the different types of spirits that can be around at the same time. You know, you want to just stick with the spirits that are in your own personal vicinity, your own life. Specifically, it's when you're dealing with the spiritual realm, you want to do as much in petition as you possibly can. Petition can be very simple. It just means that on a piece of paper, you write out exactly what you're looking for and you word it as specifically and as literally as you can, because sometimes it's not even intentional. There's different non-human entities like jinn or even like fae that they don't understand human emotion and language as well if they don't have human lineage at all. And so they will take your wishes or whatever you're saying you want out loud as very, very literal, which can be bad if you don't specify what you mean. You don't want to just, you know, say something. Um, Although the spirits here seem to always know exactly what I need or want, and like I don't even need to say it, which is strange. Most of the time they just kind of just do it, and then like I figure out that like, oh wow, that really helped me. Um, and that's another thing that's like super important is if you're not asking for something in specific, like just to like get to know them before you do petition them. But when you're speaking to them specifically, like you don't have to then petition them if it's just you trying to get to know or have them understand you. You can just talk to them as non-casually out loud as you want. Um, and thank you. And thank you for Angry Inches. Um, and now that was beeping. Oh, the light's on. How do I get this damn camera? There we go. See? I didn't even see that turn on. Oh, it turned off. Oh, look. Look, you guys. I can't, like, do I really got to sit here like this? That was pretty cool. I keep seeing, like, I don't know. But anyways, sorry. If you flick it back on, I'll make it look again, okay? I don't know why it's like very touchy. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, and if you really want to get on a spirit's good side, offerings are definitely encouraged. That's not just for bound spirits. Any spirit that you want to appease around you, you should think about leaving them an offering tray. Now, this can be pretty much anywhere you want it to be. I don't even know where it fell. I don't even know what fell. Oh, it's the ball. It was on this. What the hell? Sorry, guys. Okay. I'm gonna leave it down like this for a second because it's missing some cool stuff because it keeps moving. Um, can you make that light flicker back off for me? You're gonna wait till I move the camera again, huh? Yeah. I don't want it to face down like this for too long. Oh, it's weird. Okay. Um, yeah, that was weird. It like not it like knocked off the wrong run. I wasn't expecting it to knock that one off till it knocked all of it down. But yeah, when you want to get to know a spirit, the best way to do that before you ask them for anything is to work up to by just sharing about yourself out loud like you would somebody else in the room. Um, that's when you can lay boundaries, which I suggest highly, right in the beginning of what rules you expect. Um, so that way there's no misunderstanding. Okay, so now it should be off. I think it blinked, so I think it should be off then. Yeah, I think so. Okay, cool. Thank God that was like all right. I forgot what I was saying, but some spirits are easier to get to know, and like you can wait shorter periods with certain spirits before you start asking them like to help you with something. I would suggest like when you're working with jinn, you wait until you at least leave out like an offering and you talk a little bit about yourself, but at the same time they manifest things so quickly that you don't have to wait too long. Where with like a human, they're more prone to like human emotions, so that you don't want them to feel used or taken advantage of. So those are the ones that you want to focus on getting to know before you ask any kind of favors or like anything like that. They can, once they have kind of a grudge, it's very hard to break that. And I think that's where a lot of negative hauntings stem from. I don't really believe that any spirit is 100% all the time like hostile, and I also don't believe that a spirit is 100% all the time positive either. It's just not possible, it's just not realistic. Um, I think that it depends on the scenario and it depends on the person and if they feel that they like that person, if they respect whatever's about that person. Um, the same person that could have like a super bad interaction or experience with the same set of spirits could have a really amazing relationship stemmed from, depending on the first few interactions and if the spirit decides it likes who you are or they don't like who you are. It's very hard to break that out of a spirit's opinion once they have like formed a grudge on you. So it's best to tread very lightly when working with any type of spirit. You don't want to push too much too fast because it's very hard to undo. Um, Obviously, like with your own loved ones and relatives, they're a little bit more lenient and understanding. But if it's yeah, for sure, like any type of entity, but for sure the dead are, um, they have nothing but time over there, so they remember any little slight, and you don't want that, because they don't have very many things to do. So you set the precedent of what that interaction and dynamic is going to be like within the first, interaction or two. Um, and it's human nature to get startled or to get spooked because it's something that like a person's never seen before. It's something that you don't really know, like if they like you. And so I don't mean that because you can't help that reaction, but I mean like, have you ever seen like the ghost hunters where they antagonize them and then they like scream and they're like super obnoxious, but then they'll like start antagonizing them, trying to get them to like interact again. And then when they do, they like, they scream and they act like it's like a horror. That's insulting for them. And I can't, I didn't even put my hand up. What the hell I didn't even put my hand up. I didn't even move. That was weird. Um, but that's with anything, any type of spirit. That's jinn also will take an insult and they will run with it and they'll hold grudges for lifetimes. Um, they don't forget very easily. And like I said, it's not a matter of how you respond, because that's human nature to be like surprised or something. But again, there's a difference between like curiosity and meddling. And meddling is like comes off as insulting, where like the ghost hunters will demand they show themselves, and then when they do, then they act like, oh, it's insulting. And I don't blame them for being annoyed at that, because I would be annoyed at that. Um, that's just like that Annabelle doll. She specifically came with a set of instructions from the Warrens that know a lot about demonology and how to work with demons, and that's exactly what that entity is a demon. And they were specifically warned, don't ever take that vessel out of the glass case. Don't take it to shows trying to like show off with it. And that's exactly what they did. And not only that, I guess in the show, like in the interview, the guy was antagonizing it throughout the entire stint, because he already had done two shows before this last one that he did. And you can't really act surprised when they lash out then, because I mean, you have to respect things. And if somebody tells you an expectation about keeping an entity, like, you listen to it. They shouldn't have ever taken that vessel out of the case and showboated around. Um, a lot of bad came from that when they did that. A lot of things happened. Prisoners escaped the prison there. There was like a big storm. Um, they just they shouldn't have ever disrespected the Warrens. Oh no, that's not good. Someone bought the whole collection and turned it into a bed and breakfast for Angry Inch's, and that's a shame, because all that stuff is really like, the reason they had that in their basement was to protect the rest of the world, because they were so bad out of the thousands of cases that they have done. Ah! Um, Out of the thousands of cases they have done, um, those were the ones that they felt like they couldn't just leave behind, or people were at risk. So I that's dumb. They flattened it so quick. Um, yeah, they had like, I forgot. I think it's like 62 articles or something in that basement museum that they had. And I'd like to know the backstory of all of them, if I'm being honest. I wish they could do like a little movie short, like, how they do like Conjuring and the Insidious world, kind of revolving around Warrens. Um, they should do like, I don't know, just like a little season, like a little series of each one of the different vessels and what they hold and how they figured out that they were damned as much as they were. I don't understand. I don't know. I've worked with every single different type of entity, and they've all been very nice to me. I don't, there's not a single one, like, except for when, oh, I can't say everyone, because again, there was one more that I got attacked very seriously, that I didn't think I was going to make it out of this, but this is before I lived in this house. This is before I developed my own spirit family. And I didn't think I was going to make it out of that sucker either. Nobody, Alan didn't think I was going to make it out of that. That's for sure. He actually got to see a lot of things that I was surprised that he like saw. It was really interesting. It's like we both were on the same wavelength of a spiritual battle that was really, I didn't think I was going to win, folks. I almost didn't. Um that thing doesn't exist anymore. The spirits here would devoured. They would devour anything that would be even slightly negative intention around this house anymore. It just wouldn't be possible to exist here. Um, but yeah, that was a scary one. I I don't even know how to explain it. I wasn't myself. I guess like my mouth dropped open like really wide, and I a radio transmission was like coming from it, and I was warning to get away from it. I said, "Get away from it because it's gonna hurt you." And then I lunged, and I guess I had the strength of a silverback gorilla, and like my fingers were longer than usual, and I kept trying to go after like Alan's like eyes, I guess, and I have no recollection of any of those things. I knew that it was doing bad things, but I was like locked into a battle that I didn't really have a choice if I didn't help the people that were being pretty much absorbed by these negative entities on this property where a lot of black magic was done after an accident happened, where a mother drove her vehicle off the side of this really high skyway, um, with her child in the back seat, and they both died instantly, of course. And the black magic entities there were devouring them, so that there was the ultimate death. That means that not even their soul would exist anymore. They would just cease to exist, altogether gone. And if I didn't intervene, that's exactly what was going to happen. The little boy didn't stand a chance, and the mother was almost, she was almost gone. So it was the craziest experience I've ever had. I ended up losing like 7 or 8 pounds over 24-hour period. Can't even. I mean, do lose weight when I do those cleansings and things, anyways. And so I like to keep track, but that was the most I'd ever lost, like in one day, and I for literally like 24 hours after that, I just did not move. I was so depleted, physically, spiritually, mentally. It was crazy. I felt like I mean, it was bad. I felt like I went to hell and back. Um, and that was one of the most intense, uh, interactions that I had ever experienced. And this was before we moved into this house. So when we moved in here, and I saw the spirits manifest for the first time on the landing of my stairway. Oh, it scared the ever loving dog hugs out of me, because I was guilty of judging a book by its cover. They were like three little kids. They looked kind of creepy. The one didn't have an eye. And I ended up barricading myself in one room of the house for the first month of being here, because I knew they were here, and I didn't know if they were mad. I didn't know if they liked that I was here. The house had been abandoned for a decade before I moved in, and those people barely lived here a few years. They didn't last. Nobody ever lives here for long. I mean, I know why, but for me, it was a great thing. And that's what I mean about like the difference. Like, it's just all about perception when it comes to spiritual experiences. And like for those people, it was a bad thing. That's why they moved out so quickly. Um, I actually verified that when I found the man's name on mail he had left behind, because they left everything. And I found him on Facebook, and I messaged him, and all I said, this is before I even started my videos, and I said, I just was wondering if you ever lived at this address, and have you ever experienced anything weird? And that's all I said. And he knew exactly what I meant. He like started spewing these different stories of things that they had experienced. And I guess the daughter, the little girl, was like terrified. They were trying to play with her because they were kids, but she didn't understand that. She thought they were being bad. And so they got out of there. They didn't even want their stuff back because they were afraid there was going to be attachments. Like, they're not going with you. Don't even flatter yourself. Don't flatter yourself. Not going with you. Um, but we ended up having to just throw all the stuff away because, I'm not going to keep family stuff 10 years prior. Um, and yeah, that's forgot what I was gonna say now. That's the main thing that I wanted to like talk about is as far as like, spirits, and like they can all that one spirit can be good to one person and it could be bad to the next person. But also when you're using tools, be very careful. There's some false information out there like as to what is the best way to use like a pendulum. If you use pendulums, I would suggest rather than to just like telling them which way is yes and which way is no, that you allow them to choose. You hold it up and you ask them to make the pendulum in the move in the way of yes, and then say, can you do the same for no? And they will show you what they prefer, because you might get lost in translation if you don't do it that way. um and so like with those that leave a lot of room for guesswork, I would try to be as open as possible to like what they mean is yes and no. Same thing with dowsing rods. Rather than you telling them which way is yes and which way is no, you should just start it out with saying, can you show me what yes looks like? Can you show me what no looks like? It goes a lot farther if you are not demanding when it comes to the spirit realm, and more so um giving them ideas or options like of what they can do if they wanted to, but don't tell them like this is what this means and this is what that means. I would allow them to create as much of their language between you guys as possible. Um, we've managed to teach each other a form of our own, almost like sign language, that we use, but not because we need it, because I can hear them, but like we want to be able to show other people how to do that. Because the clear audio part of your brain is actually one of the last of the extra senses that get picked up. That one's one of the hardest to access, to reach the frequency to be able to hear them. So until that happens, until it is triggered, the best way to communicate is to come up with your own form of a language. Mine, for example, is this hand sign language that it's almost like a mixture of like a conductor and like a sign language, but like we understand what it means. It should be something that's very personal to you, and something that the spirit obviously wants to go along with. Uh, be patient. Some spirits, it takes a minute for them to catch on or figure out how to use the things. Um, those little balloon lights that I was showing you that went off and then turned back on earlier, those are super cheap on Amazon. They're like $8 for 25 of them if you play your cards right. And they love playing with those. I love having those. The same thing with like the Maglite twist top flashlights, that they work the same as those little balloon lights, so they're very easy for them to trigger. They love these little cat ball things. Um, they pretty much love anything they can like manipulate, even like glow sticks hanging up if you don't have a lot of money. That's another thing. Like if you want to save some money but you still want to have some interaction toys, there's totally things you can do. Get yourself like a cheap deck of playing cards, and you can utilize the Snapchat filters and ask them to go to like certain cards, and they will. I mean, ours love that stuff. Um, if you want to get like cheap like dental floss and glow sticks, if you hang them up like in against a wall or dangling, you can keep an eye for movement. Uh, and you'll be surprised if there's spirits in your home and they move, which most houses, if not every house I've ever been in, has spirits. It's just a matter of if they are strong enough to reach out, if they want to reach out, um, and that's pretty much it. If they're strong enough and if they want to. There's spirits in every house. It's just a matter of what kind, what personalities. Some are shy, some don't really want to like be seen at all because they're afraid of what humans could do. um some want to reach out, but they don't really have the strength, but there's ways you can provide them with the strength to do things. The best way to do that is even your own organic energy. Your moving hands when you're making videos with them produces kinetic energy that they love. Those battery packs that you can buy at the store to charge like cell phones, they love those too. If they need to get energy from somewhere, they will get them from those. Um, and that way they won't like break your things on accident. Because in the past, we've had that happen, like with the boys before the other spirit family has come and helped regulate stuff. Okay, angry. um, but yeah, I keep forgetting what the hell I'm saying. um, I don't know. I just am glad to have everybody here. I don't really think I'm going to stay on for 2 hours because I got a headache from, Mars, and it's kind of hot. So I'm probably going to call it in a few minutes. I would like to let you know that I'm going to be doing these more often. We're going to have different topics. Some of them I'm just going to be waiting for, hopefully, others to come from my groups and my pages to interact a little bit. And until then, I'll probably just be doing my own question and answer of things that you might be wondering about the spirit world, and also um, different entities and the backgrounds of how they came about here, where they come from, how old they are, what their personalities are like. I have a lot of jinn, a lot of different types of jinn too, and like I have a jinn here. This is a Neb jinn. They have some pretty cool differentiating facts about them. Besides like the Afrit or the Marid. Marid are super docile and friendly, almost like relaxing and healing energy, the Disney Aladdin genie is actually based off of a Marid. And Marid means giant, and that's because their actual form is huge. They are the elemental of the water. Um, and they're one of my I love the Marid. Just because they're very calming and healing and kind. And then there's the Afrit, which I relate with really, really, really well. They're the fire entities. And they are very high strung, opinionated, but they're very active and they're very fun to have around. Um, they remind me of like Judge Judy. Judge Judy energy is like a fire elemental, Afrit. um, and then there's the Shaitan, which is like supposed to be it is the darkest of the jinn. Um, I like them. I get along really well with the Shaitan. Um, they're not. I guess they're not an entity for everyone. For me, we align like really well. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Lacey was extremely surprised when she first started sending me them because she wasn't sure, because she said nobody gets along with these. Like they're very hard to get along with, and like they're very particular. They're very specific. If they don't think that you're worthy, they're not, they're not going to work with you. They're not going to be friendly, whatever. But they're very nice to me. I don't know. I love them and they love me and they love playing with us here. They like show up in the form of like smoke, like black wisps. Um, and they love like herb smoke, and I don't know. They're just a lot of fun. I really like those ones. See, it's this one back here. Yeah, we love Judge Judy. I loved her. I don't know. I get along really well with the fire elementals because they remind me of her personality really well, and I just like that personality. They crack me up. I like them. Um, And there's other kinds too. There's a whole bunch of sub sectors of different kinds of jinn, and I probably have majority of them, if not all of them. I love jinn. They're some of my favorite non-human entities to work with. Surprisingly, so are vampires. Vampiric entities are real, which like is pretty crazy to find out now as an adult. Like, I mean, I always knew that stuff was real, but like I didn't know that like it was as literal as like what you see like in fairy tales and stuff. Like it's literal. But these entities are spiritual entities, and they just basically what it means is they are have been around for so long that like they're so smart that they figured out a way to survive and get stronger throughout that time by absorbing living energy, and they become dependent on like surviving on it. They're not like Dracula, like it's not like that, but like yeah, they're spiritual entities that just they live off of life energy and blood force, and sometimes depending on the vampire species also like like mental psychic energy. uh my favorite, like if I was a vampire, it'd probably be sanguine, which is like blood energy. um just because I don't know, their energy, like I don't know, they're a little bit more high energy. I'm not sure what it is, but I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my psychic vampires, and I have a lot of different types of vampires actually, but the sanguine feel the most relatable as far as their energy to me. Uh and they're a lot more like human entities than like jinn, so they understand like humans a little bit more than like a jinn would. Um there's some entities that are so far away from being human that like they don't even realize what they're doing is like could be considered as creepy to somebody else, you know? Like they think what they're doing is very normal, and they're just trying to emulate what they think is what a human is supposed to do. But they don't emulate it like a normal human because they're not. So it's very obvious, and it comes off as creepy, but they're not trying to be scary. They don't know. Like there's one that'll just sit there with this like blank like grin on her face, and she'll be watching me from like the side like of the door, and I'll just see like half of her just peering over, and like to her she can do that for hours. She thinks it's totally normal, but like to me it's not very normal. But I've gotten used to it. I don't mind it. um yeah, I did send a link. I did. I mean, I did on my group, but I did on my page. Hold on, guys, I'm sorry, he just reminded me of something that I'm she's saying it's not letting, it's saying that she's not, nobody else being let on. I don't know how to, I don't know what to do. I don't know how else to send it. Like I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Send it. Like I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Here, I got it. I got it now. I think I'm just gonna. Damn it. I don't want to argue about food stamps. God, I'm so over the food stamps. Like, I get over the food stamps. I mean, oh my God. It's not you guys. I just like, jeez. Anyways, um, yeah, somebody said they couldn't be let in. Hopefully that's not the case with everybody else. I don't know what's going on with these lives. I keep trying to do them and it seems like that keeps being an issue. So I'm hoping that that's not the case. Boo. How do I restart? I don't know how to restart. I don't know how to do that. What? How do I restart? I don't know. That's pretty frustrating. I swear to goodness. I don't know. I thought that it was already I don't know. I don't want to restart and then have this one get erased cuz like I just sat here yesterday for 2 hours and I don't know what happened, but I can't do it again. And so I'm really hoping that there wasn't a privacy setting cuz again, that's something that would have needed to be known about for now. Spend an hour. So I'm getting frustrated.